Don't forget.
Assassinated, start.
Oh, I don't go there.
That people said.
I don't go there because.
Okay, so we're going to talk about eclipses now. First of all, if you're not sure what eclipses are, astronomically and astrologically, look at our video. You can see the details here for that video that explains what eclipses are.
Oh, yes.
We're going to talk specifically about the Great American Eclipse. I'm sure you've heard all about it. You've got a lot of news. It was on the 21st of August 2017. It was called the Great American Eclipse because it was visible. It was a total solar eclipse, that was visible across large parts of America. And there was a lot of talk in the news all about it. It was a very exciting event, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the aftermath of that and what happened. Rod, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I think this is very interesting because why it draw people attention because it's happened all across America, and then but also draw astrologers' attention because the degree of that eclipse happens is in 28 or 29. I think it's 28 degree. Good, I remember that. 28 degree of Leo, and apparently that is Trump's ascendant.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's ascendant, just right up there, and then it's Mars is also there, and which this take all the astrologers' views like, wow, Trump going to experience his solar eclipse. What's going to happen to him? So there's a lot of debate. Is he going to be impeachment that time? Is going to be something? Some people even say, oh, he's going to divorce. I say, well, all could happen because it's solar eclipse. And don't forget,
assassinated, start.
I don't go there.
People said.
I don't go there because we forget what does solar eclipse mean? It's a new beginning. Clean things up and start new things. So I was thinking, is that impeachment a new beginning? I don't think so. Is that divorce a new beginning? Maybe a new, but something else. So I was thinking, if you're going to, that's what I think. Very basically, for starting astrology, you have to know what that term means.
I've got a couple of thoughts there, because I have to put my hand up and say I thought that it would be more harmful to Donald Trump's position as the president than it so far looks like it has been, just because it was a solar eclipse, and obviously the sun at the time was in Leo, which is the sign of the king, on his ascendant, which is definitely affecting him, on his Mars, which in his chart is the most problematic planet, so what makes it so fiery and choleric. He's a very driven guy. And in the eclipse itself, Mars was also in Leo, very close to the sign of the eclipse. So I thought that it would cause a lot more disruption than it appeared to have done to him. It certainly caused disruption. We'll talk about that in a minute, I'm sure. But I think the key difference for me was that it was an eclipse on the north node of the moon, and I think we should have a link to talking about eclipses and about the nodes. We've done a video about that, haven't we? So have a little look at that. But the north node is a place of entry, expansion, or growth, or magnification, and the south node is the opposite. It's diminishment, removal. So the fact that it's a north node solar eclipse implies it's a disruption causing new beginning, magnification, or growth. So in terms of its effects on Donald Trump specifically, because this one was so keyed into his chart, it would presumably cause a lot of disruption to him involving Mars stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it would end up being a sort of new beginning. So that was a key, and it fell right in my own chart on my Saturn, so I was getting all kinds of worried about what that would mean. Saturn's a difficult planet, but in my chart Saturn rules my part of fortune, so it has stuff to do with my money. It was in my 9th house, which is to do with books and higher education. So what has happened since that eclipse is the course I'm teaching on, the university course, is shutting down, but also that my publisher of the book I'm writing, he shut down his publishing company and has reopened a new one. So it's kind of like the meanings are there. Because it's a North Node eclipse, it's bringing new things
So
in.
therefore it's like a test of memory sitting here at this period of time now. I'm sitting here racking my brains thinking, what on earth happened last August in America?
There's one more point I'd like to make, and then I'll shut up and let you guys all speak, because I'm aware that I do have a monopolising tendency at times. So the other thing traditionally, according to Ptolemy, was that there's a timing device for eclipses, and that is if they're on the eastern horizon near dawn, the events signified by the eclipse will be within the first 4 months, i.e. the nearer to the ascendant, the sooner. Nearer the midheaven, it's in the next 4 months, i.e. midheaven is approximately 6 months away, and the descendant, if it's setting in that location, it'll be nearer 12 months. So this eclipse in Washington, and I had a look at the chart, is just past the midheaven, meaning that the fullness of the event signified by the eclipse will be fully realised by around 6 to 7 months from the time. Now that would mean the fullness would be around February to March, i.e. now.
So he's actually, one of the things that occurs to me that I've recently read about is that yet another one of his important Senate people has now resigned.
Oh yes.
Has actually left the government.
The other point to make, a couple of quick points to make. First of all, is a total solar eclipse, which is said to be stronger, have a stronger effect. Also,
rather than a partial one, you mean?
Pardon?
Rather than a partial
Exactly.
Yes, it was a complete covering of the sun.
Exactly. It was beautiful and dramatic, actually. And also, in November, in the 15th of November 2018, transiting Mars in the sky will oppose the eclipse degree.
Oh dear.
So that is something to watch.
Yeah.
So
November this year.
November, the 15th of November 2018, transiting Mars
is going to activate that.
And it will also obviously activate Donald Trump's Mars as well, which is really interesting. The other thing as well to mention is that total eclipse fell on the fixed star Regulus, which is
the King Star.
The King Star, the Kingmaker Star.
Yes,
you say it's around that time in November, and the Mars will trigger.
Correct.
I think this also related to the lunation, because around that time, there's also the new moon and full moon going to trigger few different eclipses.
Wow.
At that time.
This is really important, actually. Astrologically, the way that you look at an eclipse is that the events following the eclipse will unfold over a time frame, and then the position of that eclipse, the degree of the eclipse, whenever it's activated by a planet, preferably one that was involved in the eclipse configuration, or in the chart of the person who you're saying is going to be particularly affected by that eclipse, hitting that point will trigger it. So that's a really important astrological technical point to make, because Mars is such a key planet in Trump's chart and was actually involved in the eclipse configuration by sign.
Correct.
That's going to be really important.
It's going to be interesting to follow, because like what we're saying, basically the degree and sign that the eclipse falls in remains sensitive for a while to come.
One technical point as well, Ptolemy said that the length of time the eclipse actually happens, the length of time the sun is actually occluded by the moon, in hours equates to the amount of time in years the eclipse is active for. I don't know how long that eclipse was actually active in hours over Washington. That would be a really interesting time to check, because if it was a couple of hours, then the eclipse, the effects will resonate for 2 years following that eclipse. And just in terms of symbolism, what we had in February was the government shut down twice. We've had the stuff about the guns, all the gun controversy, the shooting in schools. And by the way, this eclipse happened in the 9th house, which is the house of higher education. And Donald Trump's Mars rules his 5th house of kids and his 9th house of overseas and higher education. And then there's the Stormy Daniels controversy, this blonde porn star who's in and the interesting thing is what the North Node symbolism might imply was, rather than what I thought, along with other astrologers, it might derail him, it might actually end up making him stronger, but after this disruptive craziness that's going on.
Yes, I've got a feeling, I'm afraid, I think it might make him stronger. See, I was also quite interested in the fact that I mean, obviously, in the meantime, there will be more eclipses. You know, we're talking about one eclipse from 2017 in August, which is, and it's, you know, said to be coming to manifest in February, March, that sort of time now. But we, you know, eclipses occur every 6 months.
They're a cycle, aren't
Indeed.
they?
Yeah, they are. So it's like it's a solar eclipse, and there's 2 solar eclipses within a couple of weeks or within a month of each other, really, which is nothing unusual.
It's
really.
interesting that most of them aren't total solar eclipses.
They're not.
And most of them fall over the oceans, actually, so they don't fall quite as dramatically
That's
over
right.
big land masses.
I mean,
Which is why this one was
But
important.
that does not mean that every eclipse does not have, you know, a meaning.
And
It does.
Down
Yeah,
the
Yes,
line.
it's not like I think what you're. It's not an isolated. These things are part of an
It's
organic
yes, it
unfolding
is.
cycle.
Indeed, yeah.
So I mean, in a sense, we got very a bit carried away about that.
Yeah.
But I think not without reason.
Yeah.
And I think as astrologers, we tend to sort of sometimes get carried away and look at the Armageddon scenario, when in actual fact, the effects that we have seen on America and on Donald Trump have been incredibly. What's the word? Dramatic.
Yeah, it is.
So you know, with the fact that all the controversies with Trump's presidency, all the stuff to do with the gun laws, the school shootings, the controversies with, and yet it only seems to be making him stronger in a way.
And he's running for another term. He's running for a second term.
Yeah.
And in November, that's when it comes up again.
Yeah. I would really watch out for that November one, because Mars is a really difficult planet.
Yeah.
And I cannot think that he will come out of this unscathed completely.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
Well, we might revisit this topic in November.
Oh, we should.